All right, it's time for another edition of SJHL Weekly. Thanks for stopping by, SJHL fans. It's an exciting time of the year because not only is round 2 right around the corner for us, but Game 7 goes tomorrow night. We have a Game 7 to end off the first round of playoffs. It is a very exciting time of year. Again, so happy that you can all join us today for a very exciting episode. We're going to look back on how the first round is almost wrapping itself up. Again, we do have one series that is not completed yet. We have 2 sweeps. We had a Game 5 win on Friday night that we'll get into in the Estevan and Melfort series. And we'll have a look at some potential round 2 scenarios. Plus, later in the show, we're going to be joined by Flin Flon Bombers captain Justin Lees. So very excited to talk to their captain and leading scorer from the regular season as he had such a huge impact on this season. So that'll be exciting. But first, we got to thank our sponsors, of course. UPL Canada, massive sponsor of us here at the SJHL, all of our broadcasts. And all of the playoffs as an entire entity is sponsored by UPL. Plus Borgo, Cantera Seeds, Capital Automall, Chevrolet, Great Western, Nutrien, RBC, Saskatchewan Construction Safety Association, Sask Lotteries, Tourism Saskatchewan, Sask Energy, SGU, and SGI. Such an exciting time, and those sponsors are helping us cover it all for you guys, the SJHL fans in the building today. And without these 2 guys beside me, we wouldn't be able to do a good job of it either, because Rory McGouran, Jamie Neugebauer, you guys were on the call for Game 6, Weyburn and Humboldt. Very exciting game. Rory, you and I were on the call for Game 4. Very exciting game. What a series so far, guys. Overall, round 1 thoughts, though, overall. Rory, we'll start with you.
We got the best 2 words in sports coming up.
Yeah.
We got a Game 7 in one of the series, right?
Yeah.
Which is not only all hockey fans, biggest moment in the playoffs, but for the players that haven't played SJHL playoffs yet, growing up, junior hockey, this is what you dream for. It's a Game 7. Who's going to be the hero? And we got it in at least one of the series. All the other 3 teams, the top teams that advance, are now resting and waiting to find out who they'll play, because it'll all shuffle. We don't actually know until we find out who wins between Humboldt and Weyburn. But yeah, a Game 7 on Tuesday in Humboldt, that's going to be huge.
Yeah, it is huge. I mean, I think all 4 series really were pretty tight. You talk about the metrics. I've talked about it a few times. I mean, you look at a couple sweeps in a 5-round series, but on the ice, there was, a lot of games that really could go either way in all those games too. So it's one of the beautiful things about the SJHL. But yeah, the series between Humboldt and Weyburn, you guys have said it. Don't want to belabor the point too much. Boy, it's been electric. It felt like playoff hockey last night. Just a great, great crowd as well. And it's what you want to see. And yeah, people are like, oh, what do you think is going to happen tomorrow? I'm like, I do not know.
No, it's truly one of those series where, we'll get into that. We'll get into it.
Yeah.
But before we get into the recap of the weekend and all the scores and everything else we have to get into, guess what? Happy birthday to Kyle.
All right.
Commissioner Kyle McIntyre, it's his birthday. I'm not going to say how old he is because it's a trivia question later in the show.
I'm sure.
I said he looked. I said to him, "You look really old for 35."
Yeah, don't look a day over 35, let's say.
Really old for 35.
But yeah, stay tuned because later in the show, it will be a trivia question on how old Commissioner Kyle McIntyre actually is. I'm sure he's probably getting in his car, driving here right now to shut down this show so that we don't reveal
Can I just say, it is interesting that his birthday is April Fool's Day.
Yeah, it's a joke. Yeah, it's not a joke though. I promise this isn't a joke. He's actually changing his year of age is changing. So happy birthday, Kyle. And we'll get to that later for a little bit more fun later in the show. So you know what? Let's get into the scores now. We had 2 Game 5s on Friday night. So let's have a look at Friday's scores. As you can see, the Broncos did beat the Weyburn Red Wings at home at the Elgar Peterson Arena 4-1 to take a 3-2 series lead on Friday. And then Melfort cleaned up their series 4-2 against Estevan to win that series with a series score of 4-1. But the game score was 4-2. But let's look at Sunday's game now. Again, this one was insane. A great finish, and we'll look at that finish shortly here. But 2-1 Weyburn. Again, the home team has won every single game in this series so far. It is tied 3-3, heading back to Humboldt for a Tuesday night game, guys. Rory and Nugsy, you guys were on the call together for Game 6. Let's just go into Game 6. How about a 2-1 finish, tight all the way through? That's kind of been the MO for this series for the last 4 or 5 games anyways. I know early on it was a bit different, but just talk about Game 6.
Especially in Weyburn.
Yeah.
It's super tight in Crescent Point Place.
Yeah.
The Weyburn Red Wings are just a different animal at home, right? Humboldt seems to have their number at the EPA. Weyburn is going to have to change that for Game 7. But in CPP, hey, Weyburn know that they had 3 games there. They're going to have to steal one at Humboldt, but, they'll only have to steal one if they win all 3 in Weyburn. And they did that, so credit to them. But, he starts in net with Daza. He was shaky in his first 2 starts, but he has gotten better statistically every single game of this series. 857, 882, 919, 921, 939, and then in Game 6, a 968 against the Humboldt Broncos. Every game for Daza has gotten better in the save percentage department. Nicholas Kovacs, Tyler Teasdale, probably played another 30 minutes out of the 60 minutes. These guys don't get enough credit because of how much they're used for the Weyburn Red Wings. And you thought that kind of in Game 6, now we're going into Game 7, would it be a battle of attrition? They don't seem to be slowing down at all. So these guys are 2 of the most conditioned and well-oiled machines that if they're playing that much minutes in Game 6 and not slowing down, props to them. But yeah, this was kind of the game we were waiting for, the goaltending battle. It was not a 2-1 game if you look at the scoring opportunities. Motu and Mitchell were absolutely phenomenal. And this play right here, the final one, Motu thinks he covered it. Maharaj digs it up. Robertson knocks the net off. Of course, that's a penalty. You can't do that. And then Weyburn scores the game-winning goal on that power play. It was so tight that this could have swung any way at any moment of the time, but the goaltenders were spectacular. The PKs were great across the board. And then, this final goal that you'll see right here on the highlight by Matthew Hodgson, that's the game winner, and that's all it takes.
Yeah, I mean, hey, you look at what Weyburn gave up for Matthew Hodgson. They gave up Brad Bannock. They gave up a bunch of assets. They gave up cash to Melville for his rights. Why? That moment, there. That's why they brought him in, to be the guy who has the puck on his stick. And it especially is heightened, you think about them without Cade Micklejohn, who is such an important piece throughout the season, scoring goals for the Weyburn Red Wings, being the guy that actually converted the opportunity. He scored that big 1 goal, did Matthew Hodgson. That, was a beautiful goal. And we got a great view of it as well. That was filmed by the Director of Marketing, Jacob Faith, which we can get to in a second too. But there are a couple areas of concern from the game from my perspective, Rory, and you can tell me if I'm being reacting watching the Humboldt Broncos. One is, I think of Scott Barney teams. I think they play with force. They get pucks deep. They pound you. There was not a lot of trench battles. It was end to end. It was wide open. Scott Barney wants the Broncos to get in on the forecheck, make the D turn, and hit them. And that's the way the Broncos always play. That wasn't the game. They didn't play the game plan, the Broncos, yesterday, really, I think. And then the second area, again, of concern for me is the power play. And we talked about it a lot, especially on our broadcast. No Cage Newens. Again, he served his 2nd game of his suspension. Obviously, he's a great great power play guy, one of the best in the league, maybe the best power play guys in the league. And so obviously they miss him, but 1 for 16, their last 16 on the power play for Humboldt. They had 4 chances. Not that the Red Wings were lighting it up on the power play, though that goal was on the power play. But yeah, those 2 areas of concern, how concerning are they?
I think getting Newens back, when you have him out of your power play, you actually understand more as you said on the broadcast, the gravitational pull he has on the power play. With his one-timer and his kind of quarterbacking from that wing, everyone's gravitating towards him, which opens up Bell, Weagle, Bryson in the bumper. It opens up other options. When he's gone, they kind of more just a standard PK with everyone addressed. Weyburn does have an aggressive one player that likes to attack everywhere where the puck is. But without Newens, the power play went, it was not great. One for
16.
Newens was a bit at that start of that. They were 1 for 12 without Newens over the course of the 2 games. 1 for 8 in game 1 and 0 for 4 in the second one. So he does a lot. As for the physicality down low, again, I think I have more credit towards Weyburn to getting the puck moving quickly behind the back wall to not allow Humboldt to pound them along the boards, really wear down the defense and enter scrums. I liked the energy from Humboldt, though. I thought they were not they were not sleeping in that game. Both teams had heck of energy, but in the defensive zone, Weyburn just 4 seconds and out. They're really quick with those outlet passes, getting it out, not allowing Humboldt to punish them down low, which is what they want to do. So not concerning. If Newens was out for Game 7, I'd be concerned about the power play. He's back in, so let's see if that can get cooking again. But yeah, I think just more credit to Weyburn's defensive side for moving that puck quick, not allowing them. They played good.
Weyburn played wonderful. They pummeled Ben Motu. They made Humboldt make soft decisions a lot of the areas of the ice too, and something again Humboldt teams rarely do is make soft decisions and allow those transition opportunities for a Jerome Maharaj and company to slam that down your throat. So it's a situation where, you know, the Weyburn got to feel good about that. They have not really been able to replicate that same game model at the EPA so far in the series.
That's the thing that the Broncos can really, you know, not hang their hat on, but they have that in their hearts, right? In their heads. They know that they have dominated at the EPA. And for both, you know, fan bases going in, there's no more complaining about the referees on either side. Both teams have had 28 power plays, exactly. Both teams have scored 4 power play goals, exactly. Both teams have had 1 goal waved off, a kicked in for Weyburn, a high stick for Humboldt, exactly.
Yeah.
But Weyburn had 9 power plays in Game 4. Humboldt had 8 power plays in Game 5. It is the most evenly officiated series that you could possibly imagine going into Game 7. So
No, but Rory,
you think the refs got in there, that's not the case.
But Rory, the league wants one team to win. The league wants insert team here of the opponent to win.
This is the most evenly officiated series I've seen in my life.
I do want to shout out.
Sorry, I'm not calling anybody out individually.
He's just joking, by the way.
Look, it was a late third period power play that gave Weyburn the victory.
They had to call.
But they did. That was a penalty.
It was a penalty, yeah. And I have to say, it's so good to see my buddy, and I'm sure all yours, Bobby Millette, reffing again. He does such a great job. He does it at the dub level. He does it here. Great to see him. Him and Josh Grimm, I thought, were picture perfect last night.
It was great. I thought it was fine.
They did a wonderful job, really helped the flow. Somebody messaged me earlier in the year saying, "You are the hardest broadcaster in the league on refs." I'm like, I had no way to quantify that. If I've overstepped,
well, let's go back and check the tape.
I'm sorry. Yeah,
Nugsy, back in February, you said this.
Yeah, right.
No, we don't have that. We don't have
that. But Bobby Millette and Grimm were terrific yesterday, and I want to see every game ref like that.
So, are we moving in to talking to Game 7 now, or do you want to go Melfort, Estevan recap, and then?
No, we should move into it. But before we do that, 2 things. I just want to read some comments here from some of our viewers. My boss. The boss man, Paul Drouin, says Game 7. He says Red Wings. I don't know if that's a prediction. I don't know if that's a prediction.
We all love predictions.
Eddie Trubiak's checking in, says Go Bombers, go Wings tomorrow. Wouldn't mind a Bombers-Wings matchup, and we will get into that in a second here. Bob Fitzpatrick, Happy Easter. Catherine Penner, Go Bombers. Obviously the Bombers fans. They're always heavily represented in the engagement category here. We have Robert Koska saying Wings, Bombers for the Moose Leg series. Now that would be something.
Right.
There's a little bit of history there.
It was Mike Eskra who picked up the Moose Leg.
Well,
there's a little bit of history there.
Fans here because we have them in droves commenting, right?
Yes.
We're seeing a lot of, hey, you know, go Wings, Bombers versus Weyburn. Weyburn is no slouch to get over.
No.
But how come the Bomber fans aren't saying go Humboldt because they want to play a rematch of the final? Isn't that more of an intense playoff matchup against North Stars, or is there a little
looking for revenge?
Is looking for revenge exactly, or are they thinking Weyburn is going to be
the lower seed team?
A lower seed, easier to get to the finals.
Could be.
You know, if Bomber fans want to comment, right?
Yeah, let us know.
Are there any of you out there that want to see the North Stars in round 2, right? Hey, we want to hand one back to them and kick them out of the playoffs and go to the finals through them.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Can we watch Matthew Hodson's goal?
Yes, let's do that now.
Jacob Faith's camera. That was awesome.
Yes, so we have a special angle of the game-winning goal from Director of Marketing Jacob Faith, who was up in the other corner from where the camera was. We have the audio from the rink, and just Crescent Point Place was going nuts. Let's have a look now. There you go. What a great angle. What a great little clip there. But yeah, let's look at it now. Oh yeah, so I was gonna say, it's been a while since I've heard that loud at Crescent Point Place says Dizzy. Just love that name, by the way, Dizzy. There's some other comments as well. We'll get to those maybe later in the show, but thanks for checking in. Do please keep commenting. We love to see your comments, and we do usually check them all out, especially after the show. We go back and look at some stuff. But Game 7, guys, Nugsy said it earlier. He has no idea what's going to happen, and that's not a fault to you, Nugsy. It's been a series where, yes, the home team has won every game, but these games have been so interesting and so exciting that it really could go either way a lot of the time. Nugsy, let's go to you first, just because Rory has some skin in the game in a sense. But let's go to you first with Game 7 preview. Just the word preview. What does that bring to mind for you?
Well, first thing I think about, history. Last year there was only one Game 7 as well in the whole of the playoffs. What happened there, right? It was that ridiculous bounce on Cam Herdlicka at the Whitney Forum. Home cooking in Game 7 is serious business, and this series has been exceptionally good and exceptionally huge for the home cooking. You know, you look at that vaunted Weyburn Red Wings power play, 3 of their 4 power play goals in this series have been in Crescent Point Place. They're 1 for 11 at the Elgar Peterson Arena. You know, I've been there with a visiting team. It is no fun to go to the EPA on any night, and you know it's going to be bumping. You know, I talked to Cage Newens for a brief second before the game 6 there as he was watching warm-ups, and I could just tell there was a fire smoldering in that guy, that he wanted to just get out there as soon as he can and make some damage. So, you know, I think it's interesting. London Stromey, obviously, too, as well, I got to mention, coming back, too. So should be a very, very big crowd, I would think, in Humboldt, and I think that really bodes well probably for the Humboldt Broncos. Now, the other side of things is I always talk about the clutch gene, and Daza Mitchell, to me, is as clutch as anybody. Not to take it away from Ben Motu, because he's Big Save Ben for nothing. But yeah, boy, oh boy, yeah. As I said, all that to be said, it'll be a lot of fun. I'm trying to tee it up for excitement, but I don't know what's going to happen.
Weyburn's coming in with momentum.
Yeah.
That's what they got. And Weyburn's coming in with Daza playing his best game in the most recent game.
Yeah.
Motu has the stronger save percentage over the 6 games.
Yeah.
That's because Mitchell was a little bit shaky in the first 2.
Sure. Yeah.
Really turning things on now. So goaltenders, I think flip a coin at this point, just based off how they're playing.
Yeah.
Power plays, again, both of them 4 for 28. Flip a coin on the special teams. I don't know which one you take in this regard. Home ice advantage is the only thing that's slanted in favor of the Humboldt Broncos, and they're going to have to use it. They're going to have to use the fan bases. They're going to have to use that they've outscored Weyburn 17-6 in the prior 3 home games, plus 22 in the shot differential. They're really good defensively at home. They limit Weyburn to very few high-danger scoring chances, 5-on-5. So just, you know, reflect back to what they did in games 1, 2, and 5, and they have the recipe for success. But they don't have the momentum. They don't have the hotter goaltender. They don't have a special teams edge. So it's storylines will create themselves, and it already has for an exciting Game 7. I can't wait for Tuesday, 7:30. Tomorrow, 7:30.
Get your tickets.
Yeah.
Get your tickets now. Before we move on to everything else in the rest of the show, we have to go back to actually Friday, Game 5, Humboldt and Weyburn in Humboldt, with Maddox Amaral. See you on the flip side, and Rory McGouran on the call.
Skogstad face-off, bouncing one, Amaral off the face, quick shot, hit a body. Skogstad trying to center it, Amaral trying to center it. Mitchell made another save, Amaral looking for a little flip over the net, and this one, he scores! What a goal from Maddox Amaral! He flips it over the back of the net, it goes off of Mitchell and in. An incredible effort of creativity, and the Broncos got the lead. Oh baby, it's 2-1.
Oh, baby, indeed. What a goal that was. And it was, you kind of said it was the funniest part about that was he actually tried to do a Michigan and he actually failed. So he actually made a cool play off of a failed play.
Our camera kind of goes away at the split second, right? And I mean, for the broadcast booth, I didn't actually know it was in until Sean Dufour gives it the goal signal, right? So that's my delayed response. But Amaral did have it on his stick, go for the Michigan, looked up, and saw Brendan Hunchak at the side of the post, realized that this is not going to work.
It's not going to happen.
Had it on his stick for maybe half a second, and then just went like that because he couldn't go around the front of the net. Hunchak was standing right there.
Yeah, and, and Daza with the, I don't know what he was, you know, that's what he's supposed to do in that regard. Goal, you know what?
See, I thought Daza had it.
It looked like he had it on top of the net almost.
I thought Daza had it, and he didn't. Yeah.
One thing that goalies don't often practice is saves on pucks coming from behind their head. They don't often practice those ones. Goaltending coach Daniel Wappel from the Weyburn Red Wings, there's something for you guys to work on, though. You never know when that's going to come in handy.
Don't look into it too hard.
I don't think, I think there's only so many hours in the day.
It's a small percentage play, but you just never know, guys. Nugsy, I'm going to go back here. We haven't talked about this series yet since it ended. Estevan and Melfort ended on Friday night. Melfort won the series 4-1. Game 5, you were in the building for it. What did you see in that game?
Yeah, it was a microcosm of every game in the series. Very, very, very even. And look, I don't want to sound like I'm going to bash anybody, but I'm just going to look at pure stats. If one team's goalie has a .913 and a .261, and the other team's goalie has an .861 and a .454, probably the team with the .913 and the .261 is going to win.
Mathematically.
Now, to be fair to Jackson Miller, he did have to play 20 and 21 starts in a row, obviously, since the injury situation to Cam Hrdlicka. So that is Yeah, that is crazy. That's a lot. And not only is that a lot, he wasn't expecting to have to play that much this year. He's never played that much in his life. So it was a big jump for Jackson, a big learning curve. And I think, on the flip side, the bigger thing for me is you give the Melfort Mustangs a ton of credit. Now, their penalty kill, they're going to have to work on that. Estevan's power play, 32% in the series. In fact, Estevan scored 8 of their 13 goals in the series on the power play. And so, it was a situation where Melfort did a lot of good things, especially 5-on-5. But, Trevor Blevins is going to want his team to clean up their discipline, whomever they face in the next round, be it a Humboldt, whoever it might be, be it Battleford's, they're going to have to be better in terms of discipline and in terms of killing penalties. And they had a pretty good penalty kill during the season. It was sort of 5th, 6th. You kind of expect the Trevor Blevins penalty kill to be maybe a little bit better than that, and especially with a James Venn in the net and a Chase Freetmore like Olsen at the back. But again, you give the Bruins credit too for scoring on that many power plays at the same time. But really, as I said a couple times, it was a microcosm of every game, very, very even. It was the 3rd game in a row that we went into the 3rd period tied. The second period, the game was tied in 3 games in a row, and in games 3, 4, and 5. And the Bruins kept getting behind in games, and again having to crawl back, and they were able to do it with some power play opportunities. In fact, I don't think any series in the playoffs had anywhere near the amount of power plays that this series had both ways. I think Estevan had 25 and Melfort had 22, and no other series had anybody with that much. So it was a real penalty fest, I think, in a lot of ways, and there was some dislike between these two teams, which made it fun. But yeah, it was kind of bizarre. It was kind of a weird series in a lot of ways too. It didn't have the same jam maybe as that Flin Flon Estevan series last year. It didn't really have the same jam to me either as this Weyburn and Humboldt series. Maybe because there were so many penalties and it was kind of the flow taken away, even though there was lots of entertainment. I know the game that you and I called, Clark, was probably the best game of the series, and the Bruins won it. So that, the Affinity Place was going nuts. It was a lot of fun. And that being said, Melfort, Trevor Blevins has his team playing some of the best, maybe the best hockey in the SJHL. We said that, coming in, they had a 10-game unbeaten run going into their playoffs. They've continued that style of hockey. The only area of concern for Melfort, as I said, is discipline and the penalty kill after that, because you're not gonna come out with a 5-game series win against the likes of Humboldt and Battlefords if you're given that many power play chances.
And I think when you talk about James Venn and a 913 save percentage was good enough to win the series, I think he's probably even going to want that higher.
Yeah.
Just based off of how he holds himself and how good we know he can be. But again, when 8 out of your 13 goals come on the power play, it's not often the goalie's fault, right? Like it's as goals against come on the power play. Melfort 5-on-5 allowed 5 goals in 5 games,
and one of them was
strength. So
and one of those 5 was sort of it was already over, kind of Keegan Little chipping in at the end of the game in Game 5 too. So
5-on-5, they are locked in, and for Melfort, who had injury problems throughout the whole regular season, now gets an early 5-game ending to their opening round, while the one they're waiting for is going 7. So it's a full week pretty much. That they're freshening it up. So are Battleford, so are Flin Flon, we all know that, but injuries weren't as extent on those two teams as they were in Melfort throughout the regular season.
I do want to say, Keegan Little, unbelievable. What a treat to watch that kid and be around that kid.
Yeah.
And I have to say, on the bus, on the way to Game 5, he was as sick as I've ever seen anybody. He was really, really ill. And then his ability to play, and he scored still in that game and played his heart out. It looked like he needed to take a nap every time he got off the ice, but he played his heart out. Big time kudos to a great guy, great captain, great leader in this league for a long time, 3 years. What a treat to watch that kid. And, I know a lot of U Sports are on him. A lot of U Sports schools are on him. Jump on him now, U Sports, or even D1, because that kid is mature in so many ways. I could not say enough about being around him and the type of leader he was. So, really, really impressed with Keegan over the time.
He's a Swiss Army knife, right?
Amazing.
He can just do anything.
Yeah.
Is he going to put up 120 points? Maybe not, but he's not far off from being one of the best offensive players in the league. But it's just the fact that he does something, defensive zone, PKs, faceoffs, anywhere you put him, fourth line to first line, he can contribute to that style that you need to play. He's a Swiss Army knife type player, which every coach loves to have.
Yeah, so he's going to have a successful post-junior career for sure. We all know that. Just exciting to hear the next chapter for him. And we'll get to that as we get to the offseason or later in the playoffs. I'm sure we'll hear something about Keegan Little. Let's have a look at the bracket graphic now, just as, again, we're entering Game 7. I'd love to talk about Flin, Flon, and Battlefords, but they've been done for 6 days.
100 years.
So we'll talk about them at some point here today. But for Flin, Flon, and Battlefords fans looking for a huge breakdown, we kind of did that on Thursday on SJHL Insider, so make sure you go check that episode out. We also had Kian Bell on that show. That was a great show. But as you can see, Flin, Flon did sweep Kindersley, so they've moved on. Melfort beat Estevan in 5 games, so they have now moved on. We're waiting for that Game 7, that big Game 7 tomorrow for that Humboldt Weyburn series, and Battleford's swept Melville as well. Let's have a look at the potential, whatever could happen in the Game 7 tomorrow. Let's have a look at potential playoff scenarios. As you can see, if Weyburn wins, it'll be a Moose Leg Series rematch. Weyburn will play Flin Flon, that'll be a doozy, and Battlefords will play Melfort. If Humboldt wins, it's the Battle of the Horses. What do you want to call this? The Saskatchewan Derby? Is that what we're calling it?
I usually go with the 2-horse race.
2-horse race. Well, there's a ton of different ones.
I like the Saskatchewan Derby, though.
Send in your options in the Facebook and YouTube comments now. Speaking of which, talking about the Mustangs, Ryan Duguay checking in on YouTube saying go Stangs. So they're paying attention here, guys. Go Melfort Mustangs, he says. Woohoo. But yeah, if Humboldt wins, Melfort will face Humboldt and Battlefords.
Who does Ryan want to play more? Maybe he'll comment. I mean, game seven will swing who the Melfort Mustangs play.
It could be Battlefords, Flin Flon potentially in that second round. Obviously, rematch, I should say, of last year's finals. So yeah, Ryan, let us know. Are you just kind of saying whoever, or do you have a personal? I'm gonna get him in trouble. We're gonna get Ryan in trouble.
But, I mean, I think honestly, like, I'm just gonna try to go into Ryan's mind. Like the way the Mustangs are playing, like they have to feel good against anybody.
Oh,
so.
sure. And remember,
so usually we just say, yeah, right.
Yeah.
You're just throwing
safe analysis.
But in this case, I honestly think
remember
he
though,
doesn't care.
Aiden Hutchinson did say Flin Flon, which would be a potential finals matchup. Yeah. So maybe that'll be the right answer.
He was ridiculous in the series, by the way, against Estevan. He was
and we'll get into that because we have a stats update coming up here. But Nugsy, time for Nugs and Notes.
Okay, Nugs and Notes. I got 4 topics. Let's start this one with the RBC Community Ambassador. Let's start it that way.
There we go.
There you go. Get the Community Ambassador finalists up there. We'll get that up. No, we do not, as a league, want one guy or another to win, so don't comment on that,
they'll
please.
comment anyways.
But I can tell you that Joey Lees, the local boy there at Flin Flon, is in first right now at 37%, and Jacob Kazette is in second at 34%, so a bit of a Sherwood Division sweep, though. That being said, 3 of the 4 guys in the finals are Sherwood Division guys, but there you go. Lees and Kazette are the 2 leaders at the moment in the clubhouse, we'll call it. We move on, a couple U18 AAA championships to mention. The Saskatoon Blazers swept the Regina Pack Canadians at the Saskatoon Centre in Game 3 last Tuesday. Lee Shergott, the Prince George Cougars prospect, highly touted, 2 goals and an assist in that winning game. And the Regina Rebels swept Notre Dame. Game 2 last Wednesday was at the Duncan McNeil Arena. Pilot Butte's own and Mercyhurst University commit Berlin Lolliker had 2 goals and 2 assists in that game that clinched it. And speaking of the Hounds, we got 3 commitments this past week from the Notre Dame Hounds to announce. Not every day you get 3 guys committed in the same week. But Davis Sato and Rocky Bird, 2 great Hounds and great guys, obviously, going to Vancouver Island University, BCIHL. And then today just announced Alexander Hollins has committed to Lawrence University in Wisconsin. That's NCAA Division III. And yeah, can't say enough about those 3 20-year-olds. Obviously, Dave Sato is an incredible photographer as well, so check out Big Dave Photography on Instagram. He's a world-class photographer, and Rocky's always got a big smile too. So I love those boys and miss them, and we'll miss them, but also very happy for them, and that's News and Notes.
There you go. Thank you, Jamie Neugebauer, for News and Notes. We're going to hit a break, and on the other side of the break, we're going to be joined by, I almost said Humboldt Broncos. No, that's not it. Flin Flon Bombers captain and leading scorer from the regular season, Justin Lees. Stay tuned for after the break.
It's the 2023 model clearout at Capital GMC. Drum roll, please. 0% financing is back. For a limited time, finance rates are as low as 0% on select new 2023 GMC Sierras. CapitalGMC.ca.
Connecting with customers can be tough, but it doesn't have to be. At Direct West, we have the marketing tools and expertise to help introduce your business to the masses and help it grow. Connect with more customers. Direct West.
As a student, things can pile up fast. Ouch. But the RBC Student Banking Bundle makes back to school easier with up to $275 in value. That's a whole pile of takeout.
Enjoying what's around you. That's what it's all about. Farm to table, in season, locally foraged, look out the window and that's exactly what you'll see on your plate. It's the kind of experience that you'll compare everything else to for years to come. And it's so close, you can almost taste it. Indulge in our unlimited lakes and parkland. Saskatchewan.
Today, online bullying is more common than ever, but there is help. SaskTel wants to solve this problem. It's why they created Be Kind Online. If you're a victim of online bullying or know someone who is, or even if you just want to stop it from happening to anyone, this is a place to learn what you can do. You can find lots of tools and tips to help you stand up to cyberbullying. Be Kind Online is a place to learn how to stay safe as well, to learn best practices and plans to stop cyberbullying before it even has a chance.
Original 16. Celebrate things done well.
Sask Energy Network members are the best choice for natural gas solutions for your home or business. With comprehensive services like heating equipment maintenance, appliance installation, and in-store financing, they have natural gas solutions that go beyond heating to bring you the comfort, efficiency, and reliability of natural gas, both indoors and outdoors, all year long. For whole home natural gas solutions, network members burn brighter.
There we are. Hey, look, we're back. Now that is what they call a quick cut in the industry.
Hey, we're here. Why not?
I was waiting for the splitter to come back. I was like,
Yeah,
whoa,
no, Director Bryce is in the background. He just said sorry, so it's okay. We got it. We're good. We're good. None of us were undressing or like doing any of that kind of crazy stuff. We're all safe, and none of us said anything crazy, so we're good.
Can I tell a story quickly?
Sure.
Okay, so after one of the games of the month, we went to an establishment for some food after the game.
Food, yes.
And I was wearing a shirt that was brown. It still is brown. And I came out and I was taking off my dress shirt. And all the guys at the table, including Rory, thought I didn't have any shirt underneath my dress shirt.
Well, it wasn't brown. It was like the exact...
It's like kind of the
skin tone shirt. I was like, whoa.
But they're like, what's he doing? I think it was in Weyburn.
Might have been, yeah.
I think it was at the Boston Pizza in Weyburn.
Well, now you heard it here first. Nugsy does in fact wear a shirt under his dress.
No, but I'm just saying, like we were talking about, nobody was changing.
Yeah. No, I got you. That makes a lot of sense.
And it's connected to Game of the Month.
Yeah, and a guy who was a part of a game of... Oh, no, was he part of the Game of the Month earlier? Do we have Flin Flon? That's a crime. Anyways, let's go to him now, as we're joined now by Flin Flon Bombers captain Justin Lees. Justin, sorry for putting you through that story from Nugsy, but
he hangs out with Savs all the time. He knows all about that stuff.
Fair enough. First of all, thanks for joining us today. Glad to have you on with us.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me on. It'll be a fun time on the show. So thank you.
Absolutely. You and the Bombers swept the Kindersley Clippers. We joked about it a few minutes ago, but you guys, it seem like you've been off for a month now with how long ago that fourth game was for you guys. What are you guys doing right now to stay physically ready for game one of the second round of the playoffs?
Yeah, so we kind of got home from the road trip there, and we took 2 days off, and then right back to it. We've been had a 3-on-3 tournament on the weekend, and then just been practicing hard the past couple days. Really just trying to prepare our bodies for whoever we get. It could be Battleford with they're also rested, or it could be a Weyburn team that's been busy and they're still in the game mind. So yeah, we're just trying to stay sharp and ready for whoever.
So let's look back quickly at your series against the Kindersley Clippers. It seemed to get closer and closer as the games went on, especially game 4. Obviously, it was real tight. How intense was that series for you guys, despite the score of the first 2 games at the Whitney Forum?
Yeah, it was a really good series for us. We didn't finish the regular season off kind of the way that we wanted, and going into playoffs, maybe there were some question marks with our group and us coming together, but those first 2 games in the Whitney were really big for us. Just we shut them out both games, so we're playing good defensively, good 5-on-5, and we were able to put up some goals those 2 games and kind of get our mojo back. So yeah, after those 2 games, we went down to Kindersley, and those ones they were a bit tighter. They were close games. The second one there came right down to the wire, so they kind of pushed it. There was no quit in that group, and they have a bunch of warriors over there that played hard all series, and there was no quit. So yeah, it was a good first round test for us, and just a good way to build and get ready for the next series.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, thank you so much for your time, Justin. I really appreciate it. If I was to wager a guess, I would wager that you grew up going to Bomber games, going to the Whitney Forum. What's it like, playing there, the emotion, and, how much is this personal for you and Joey, to bring that championship back? Someone might say, long dub career, just trying to find a way to play out, but it doesn't seem like that's the way you played at all this year. You've played your heart out this year for the Bombers. Talk about that emotion of trying to win that championship for the Bombers, for Mike Reagan, for everybody there.
Yeah. Grew up coming to all the games, with my buddies, and that was kind of the thing to do in town. There's not much else going on in the winter, so just go spend time at the rink and watch all the boys play. And yeah, I've never seen a championship in this town. It's been 30 years, so there's some pressure there to win this year. But I'm just grateful for the opportunity to go out there and play in front of the entire community. That they all know who I am. They know who we all are. It's fun. So yeah, it's really special just going out there and playing in front of them, and my family's at every game. And yeah, definitely not. It wasn't me coming home to take a year off and just play it out and have fun. We had goals right from the start to win a championship this year, and we're on the right path. And yeah.
You kind of talked about you guys weren't 100% happy with your play down the stretch of the regular season. You seem to have turned that around in the first round sweep in Kindersley. And here on the show, we were just kind of speculating, what could be going on in Flin and Flon, right? Is there cause for concern, or is this just a team that is locked up first place that's trying to get through the grind of a 56-game schedule? And, it's just tough to drum up motivation when you're in that position. Can you kind of take us through, just what was going on? Did you find it difficult with first place locked up for basically a month, for 20 guys every game to have 110% drive in every game going forward?
Yeah, there definitely could have been a bit of that, just first was locked up, and we tried to set goals throughout the year that would keep us on our toes and keep us hungry. And, it didn't go our way the last few games, the last 10, 15 games, we kind of battled, but I think everyone was still doing the same things. No one was taking a step back or anything like that. I think everyone was still very motivated. We were in a lot of tight 1-goal hockey games that just weren't going our way, and we couldn't get the bounces, and we kind of ran dry offensively, which, in the first part of the year we were kind of scoring a lot. So yeah, when we ran dry there 5-on-5, it was tough and couldn't really find success that way. But we grinded out, and I thought it was good for our group, to go through that adversity and to go through those losses and to have people questioning us and to have people doubting us. I think those are all good things. So we just got to take the positives out of those negatives and just use it to get better.
Yeah, I was going to ask, did it kind of light a fire under you guys? Because we were all saying, just watching the playoffs, you're going to see Flin Flon be Flin Flon. They're going to get a fire back, and I'm sure that whatever people are saying around the league, they're going to turn it against them. Do you feel that you guys were able to do that?
Yeah, for sure. We use everything as motivation. Yeah. So yeah, we're just trying to push ourselves the most we can, find that motivation and have that drive every game, every day.
Yeah, so I guess on that note, kind of building off of what Rory just asked you, Justin, your team was one of the busier teams around the trade deadline. There was some swapping of guys in and out. As a captain of the team and as a leader in the locker room, what can you tell us about the difference of the team maybe before the deadline and then as those new players all kind of filtered into the locker room? Was there a difference? Were you guys able to transition fairly smoothly?
Yeah, it's always tough when you see guys go. We had Ash and Paul, he was a really light guy in the dressing room. No guys like that. So it's always like trade deadline time. It's tough, but I think the new guys came in and they're all, they're older guys, so they've been there before. They know kind of what it takes. They've been there, and they were able to adjust into our room and into our group chemistry, I think, pretty quickly. And there was an adjustment period, I would say. Like, I'm not gonna shy away from that. I think it took us a little bit of time just to get that chemistry and to become close, or super close, like you have to be to be a great team. So yeah, there was definitely a little bit of an adjustment period, but I think with the guys that we brought in, they're the right personnel. They're leaders in the room now, and yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And obviously, they're older guys too, for the most part. They want to win now as bad as anybody, I'm sure, that was in there before. So there's that element. I want to go into your head a little bit there, Justin. Just sort of from these are big questions down to a very, very sort of small one. I have rarely seen a shark like you when the other team has the power play. When you guys are shorthanded, you are such a weapon. You led the league in shorthanded goals. You probably could have had 6 more shorthanded goals with some of the chances that you had when the team was shorthanded. Just talk about your mentality, where you learned to penalty kill like that. I know, you shut down Connor Bedard to some degree in the Dub playoffs last year as much as anybody could. But just talk about, try to transition what you learned at the WHL level and trying to shut down the Connor Bedards of the world and take it into this year at the SJ and be so effective, both scoring and stopping the other team with the PK.
Yeah, for sure. Coming into this year, I knew my role was going to change a lot on the ice. I didn't PK at all in the Dub. I saw a little bit of power play time throughout the years. But I think it's all just the little habits and the little details that I learned in the Dub, playing there, practicing every day, learning from those guys that are much better, much older, more experienced than me. And I really just tried to put all those things together that I learned with my game and just go out there and do the best I can. And yeah, I think going into the penalty kill, like you asked there, sorry. Yeah, I didn't kill last year, so it's been good. I enjoy getting out there and pressuring the puck and making it hard on their top guys. So yeah.
Yeah, well, fair enough. So then, just a quick follow-up: how much? I'm not saying you're going out there doing whatever you want, but how much direction maybe do you get from Cole or from Mike? Do you need, even in terms of being so aggressive and trying to score goals, shorthanded, or is it within a structure, or is it we trust you to figure it
out? It's in a structure, and maybe sometimes I'm going out the structure and they're trying to reel me back in. So it's more of that problem, I'd say.
Sure.
But yeah, no, I think definitely there's structure there, and I'm trying to. That's kind of one thing I'm always trying to work on is not freestyling out there. You know, just trying to play within the structure so my teammates can know and predict what I'm doing. So yeah.
You know, of course, Justin, you get to finish up your junior A hockey career, junior hockey career, playing alongside your younger brother, Joey, right? Like, I got 4 brothers myself, 3 older, 1 younger. I've never played on the same, junior team as them, but every time you go on the outdoor and you get to be on their team, or you're playing basketball 2v2 and you're on their team, or football, it just means, it means something to you to be able to have that kind of work that chemistry off. Just, what's it mean to you and like just to play your final year with your younger brother?
Yeah, it's so special. Over the past, 4-5 years that I've not lived at home and we've kind of been separated, it's we were still very close and we talk hockey and all that stuff. But when you're not together very much at all, it's tough. So that was definitely a big part of it. Coming back and he's here and just being able to practice with him every day. Be teammates. We're not. Obviously, we're all brothers in there, but when you're teammates and you're spending so much time together, it's different, and it's been really good. And I think he's learning from me, and I'm learning from him as well. He keeps me in check out there sometimes when maybe I'm running a little hot at the boys or something. So it's a good back and forth between us for sure.
Do you room with them on the road, or is that too much? Because I mean, I understand that. I draw the line somewhere.
We haven't roomed together once, so that's all right.
So Justin, this season you were nominated for Forward of the Year. Your teammate Noah Houle won the Defenseman of the Year. Harmon Laserhume won Goalie of the Year. Your coach Mike Reagan won Coach of the Year. You guys got a franchise record in wins. I guess in saying all that, just in your mind, how special is this locker room that you're the captain of this year in Flin Flon? And what does it all mean to you guys?
Yeah, it's truly such a privilege even just to put on the jersey, but to wear the captain for the team, it's a great honor, and to go out and be that leader for these guys on the pursuit of a championship. It's a real special privilege, and yeah, we have such talented players, coaches, that all are very driven to win. It's like you said, Harmon been in the league for a while. He's absolutely determined to win a championship. Noah had a great year, and yeah, the list goes on. Regs, he's been here longer than anyone, I think, in the league. So I don't know if there's many more that have been around longer than him, but yeah, it's just such a privilege. And with Flin Flon being such a historic franchise as well, that all comes into it too. So yeah, I can't speak enough about those guys and the year.
If I'm not mistaken, I think Coach Reagan started coaching the same year your teammate Cohen Sempt was born. Yeah. So pretty sure.
There you go.
I think that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Somewhere.
Yeah.
All right, Justin, I got a couple quick rapid fire questions for you. Ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so obviously the Whitney Forum, we know how loud it is there in the playoffs. Any WHL buildings that you've been in, can they rival the Whitney Forum in playoffs?
I mean, the atmosphere is quite different, but I did get to play in a sold-out SJHL Center like 7, 8, 9 times something like that. So that atmosphere it's a lot different, in the Whitney Forum here. Everyone's so tight, and it's just like they're just on top of you. And then in those buildings, they're way more spread out and bigger. So I would not say anything rivals the Whitney Forum, though. There's nothing like that. So
I don't think anything rivals the Whitney Forum 50-50s either. I've never seen this insanity that is the 50-50s in the playoffs. Are you able to get in on this? Like, are you looking at there the second intermission and be like, oh, man, I got to get a ticket here?
I'm not, but my whole family's buying tickets, so it's good. So if they win, maybe I'll just get a little cut of it.
Of course, we talked about your long WHL career. I can ask you about players in that league, for days. But SJHL, you come and wrap it up for your final year of junior hockey. What's the one SJHL pairing that when you go up against, defensive pairing, I mean, that you're like, darn, these guys are just hard to break through?
Trying to think of pairings.
Or maybe just a team with a defensive structure, and then we'll just pick their top pairing.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I'll say Isaac on Battleford, the way he skates up the ice, and kind of protects the puck, not only on the power play, but just 5-on-5 as well. That's caused our team and myself, problems. He's a good skater up the ice. So I'd say that battle for defense.
Yeah. Okay, we talked about your younger brother Joey, right? Obviously, you've played hockey longer than them. You've had the more experience, but in practice or when you guys just messing around, is there anything that you saw Joey do and you're like, hey, show me how you did that? You're stealing from your younger brother. Anything that he might have that you are trying to pick up?
Well, he's got a really good release, and it's different than mine in ways, and I'm always like looking at it, just the way he can get the puck off, like pulling it from his backhand to his forehand, and then he loves the toe drag release shot. I'd like to say I'm better at it than him, but I'm probably not. So I'd say that, I guess. Yeah.
Well, it's a nice older brother move to give him something that might be just one notch above you. Final one for me. Yeah. I don't know if I'm getting an answer out of you, but Game 7 is tomorrow between Weyburn and Humboldt. Whoever wins will actually change the opponent who the Flin Flon Bombers are going to play. Do you care, or you guys have one just a little bit heavier circled in pen rather than pencil, Battlefords or Weyburn?
This is going to be bulletin board material. That's what we use it as. But no, honestly, I think it's going to be a really good game tomorrow in Humboldt. We've been, I enjoy watching the game, so I kind of tune into those, and I think it's going to be tough for Weyburn to go in and will win in Humboldt's building. I think they're going to be really fired up for that Game 7. Obviously, Weyburn will be as well, but Humboldt's got a couple guys coming back in there, so we'll see. We'll see how the game goes. I mean, honestly, it don't matter to us. We're really just focused on ourselves and putting ourselves in the best. We're bringing our best self.
Yeah. There you go. Okay. One rapid fire for me then, and again, might get you in trouble. Whatever, that's fine.
Don't get him in trouble, Noogsy.
He's fine. He's fine. Somehow, your buddy and my buddy, Austin Elliott, and the Saskatoon Blades, obviously maybe the best team in the dub, could be. I'm sure the PG Cougars have an argument, but there you go. Somehow they face the Vancouver Giants down the road in the playoffs. I don't know how the iteration would that work. Who is Justin Lees cheering for? Because I know obviously you're a longtime Vancouver Giant. Just recently with the Blades. I'm sure you got buddies on both teams tight. Who are you cheering for? You have to pick one. Come on.
Okay. Well, I do have buddies on both teams still, but yeah. So, I mean, I was just in Stoon. I think Saskatoon would win. I think they are the best team in the dub, and they're very deep. And yeah, I still talk to those guys more. Like you said, Ozzy, still in touch with him. So I'd be rooting for the Blades.
There you
go. Fair answer, I think. Yes. Justin, thank you so much for joining us today. Yeah. Best of luck the rest of the way. Get a couple more days of rest in, and good luck in the second round.
Thank you very much, you guys. Appreciate you guys having me on.
Absolutely. So, of course, that was Bombers captain Justin Lees. What a great chat that was, and looking forward to seeing him back on the ice come Thursday as we get into the second round. But we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we got a little buy it or sell it. We got a one more quick look ahead to the rest of the week ahead, and a little bit more. So stay tuned, and we'll be back after these messages.
The Chevrolet Silverado 1500. Advanced power and capability to tackle the long hauls. Style to make a statement on the streets. Visit ChevroletOffers.ca to learn more.
Increase your home comfort with high-efficiency natural gas equipment. Sask Energy offers rebates so you can lower your energy use and save money. For a list of rebates, contact a participating network member or visit saskenergy.com.
When you buy a lottery ticket in Saskatchewan, your money really goes a long way. More than 12,000 sport, culture, and recreation groups receive funding from Sask Lotteries every year. Everyone wins.
thanks for helping me out and trying to protect me today. It's the kind of thing that, somebody comes out who's not ready, not prepared, and put into an awkward situation without somebody taking leadership and saying, hey, I'm going to protect you. It's going to shorten people's careers, and that's a big reason why we exist, and what drives us to do what we do.
They know how important their role is in the community, being a good leader, showing kids that there is a right and a wrong way to do things, and leading the right way, being a positive role model to not just kids in the community, but anybody in the community.
Coach said a lot of great things that are really consistent with the values that we have at the SCSA, and respect for those around us, respect for those that we work side by side with, leadership, and part of that is being innovative and collaborative and solving problems together. Really, the last one that you touched on was integrity, doing what's right and doing it the right way. And those things just yield incredible results, not just in terms of making things safe, but really being productive and striving, whether it be in a game or in your life or in your business.
I think absolutely we try and fill the roles of all those values and just try to be the best people we can, really, not only for ourselves, but for our teammates and for the community around us.
Had a lot of fun today. Thanks, guys.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
Original 16. Celebrate things done well.
My name is Kyle McIntyre, and I'm the commissioner of the SJHL. We have 12 teams spread out all over this amazing province. 12 teams that hit the road for combined 324 season games. We take hockey players, we make them better. We make them better at hockey and better at life. That's what the SJHL is all about. We have a great league, we have great teams, great ownership, the best fans, the best partners, and the best sponsors.
Saskatchewan's far north is where the land itself inspires. It's the beauty and power of wilderness, the solitude of a place far removed from what you might know. When this landscape surrounds you, it's like nothing else. Come and let it awaken you, energize you. Come and create your story in our Northern Lights and Waterways. Saskatchewan.
All right, welcome back inside for the final segment of today's episode of SJHL Weekly. Rory McGouran, Jamie Neugebauer beside me here as we get into the week that will be, including a little bit of a look ahead to potentially, again, could be what some of our second round matchups are going to be. But before we do that, let's look at, as of today, the scoring leaders in the playoffs, just to kind of see who's at the top here. Obviously, Matthew Van Blaricom having a stupendous playoffs so far. As he heads into big game 7 here tomorrow night with Humboldt. Kean Bell had a great 4 games against the Melville Millionaires. Aiden Hutchinson, we talked about him earlier. What a monster he was in that series against Estevan. Of course, Ryan Duguay as well, who may or may not still be watching on our YouTube channel. So shout out to Ryan Duguay. Then you see that block of Flin Flon Bombers, of course, who all had great series against Kindersley. Chase Freetmore, again, another huge series against Estevan. Boris Kaufman from Humboldt had a good series. Or having a great series, I should say, and Jerome Maharaj as well. So there you go. There's a look at the top 10 scorers. Let's look at the goalies now on the other side of things. As you can see, Harmon Laser-Hume still at the top, and Logan Cunningham for Battlefords. Those guys swept their series. They had great numbers from their games. And you see like a guy like Benjamin Mochu's having a great series. You see Dazza Mitchell. He's down a little bit lower, but man, has he been good lately. Like you said, Rory, he kind of stumbled off the top, but he's been really good lately, and et cetera, et cetera. So just wanted to have a quick look at those numbers here as we kind of get into the rest of the show. But guys, anything stand out from those stat leaders there for you guys?
I don't think much of it surprises me. I mean, the big one for me, just because we, harped about Battleford's defense and can they shore up the goaltending? Well, Logan Cunningham at the .940 save percentage just says, hey, yes, I can. I'm here. And so I wouldn't say that's surprising. He's a dub experienced goaltender. Nugent had said maybe not the greatest experience in the dub, but comes in on a team that has won a championship, a lot of returning players. just weren't playing great defensively down the stretch. So just happy to see that for Logan Cunningham and the Battleford's North Stars. Not that it's surprising, but in terms of the offensive leaders, not a whole lot of surprise for me.
It was very interesting to hear Justin Lee say that kind of the Battleford's the kind of was the one that he maybe feared, not feared because not to lock him down, but I guess just because Alex Isaac seems to have the puck on his stick every time he's out there all shift.
Yeah.
The one name to circle for me on that list, because I watched him all 5 games, was Ryan Duguay. 6'2", 190-pound power forward. He scored 3 goals. He could have had 10, 15. Like, he was...
And you're not just saying that because he's watching the show.
I forgot there for a second. No, but honestly, like, he was snake bit. Like, he had 3 goals and 6 assists or whatever, near the top of the leaderboard in scoring. But he was snake bitten in the series.
I look back
so
at Game 3 that you and I broadcasted together, Nugsy, and he had, I think there was 2 times where you said, circle that play for Jackson Miller saving on Ryan Duguay if they end up winning this game. They did end up winning that game, and Ryan Duguay was stoned both times. No offense, Ryan, if you're watching, but I think he did agree with us.
But
Jackson
my point
Miller
is that like that bodes so well for him and for the Mustangs moving forward. They won in 5 games, and he was, not clinical. They got scoring at big moments, obviously from Aiden, but they got 2 goals from Nolan Roberts. They got a game-winning goal from Nolan Patterson. Like, the Melfort Mustangs are deep right now. And when Ryan Dugay's putting everything that he's getting a chance to put in the net, too, the other team's in big trouble.
Well, I always love when I interview, Scott Barney, head coach of the Humboldt Broncos, and we often talk about a player that, went on should be producing a little more than he is. And he always says, which I love, he says, we're worried when they're not getting scoring opportunities. If they're not getting the opportunities, now something's wrong. But he's getting the opportunities. He just, has had some bad puck luck and puck bouncing. You just got to bury him, which is going to happen. So if Dugay's still getting the opportunities, they're not worried. He's doing the right thing.
Yeah, Bell and Dugay, very similar first round, I would say.
Yeah, and shout out to a guy like even Cole Unger got his first SJHL goal as well. So shout out to him. Guys, it's time for Buy It or Sell It. This is the viewer's favorite segment of the entire series that we do. All of our things that we do, Buy It or Sell It. It's always a good time. So let's start it off. We're going to basically focus this all in on Game 7 tomorrow night. Every single question except for the last one. We'll get to which one that is in a sec. But let's start with, who has more saves in net tomorrow night? Benjamin Motu or Daza Mitchell? And bonus question will come after that. But both goalies to go over 32.5 saves. Over and under 32.5 for both goalies. But let's start with who has more saves.
Well, for me, like, it has to be Daz. You'd think
In Humboldt,
the Broncos are going to come out like a house on fire, like the Wings did yesterday. I mean, there were long stretches where the puck was in the Humboldt zone yesterday. So I expect it to be the total reverse tomorrow. Can Daza stop them all? 100%. He is that good. But I expect Daza to face more.
I'll say Daza will have more shots, but I'll also say, what was that?
Over, under, both goalies, though, 32.5.
I'll say under.
Under.
Yeah, I think that both teams can keep a lot of shots to perimeters. I'll say just under. I can see one having 28 to 30, something around there.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. So this one is a Game 7, which these teams are going to be playing in, obviously. Is a Game 7 beneficial for whoever wins? Meaning the rust versus rest debate. Is it better to have some action early on and then play in a couple days? Or is a Game 7 actually harmful for a team?
I think in this year's scenario, I'm under the understanding that Game 1 will go Thursday, of course, with the Humboldt Broncos, a bus tragedy taking place on April 6th. They're not going to play on April 6th, which is a Saturday.
Correct.
So Games 1 and 2 will most likely go Thursday and Friday, meaning the teams in Game 7 only have one day off, and if Weyburn wins, they're going to have to travel. So Humboldt, too, just not as far. So, no, I mean, playing a Game 7, the pressure, that will help down the road, but you're tired and all their other teams are waiting. So I'm saying it's probably more of an ill effect than a good kind of positive effect playing a Game 7 in this year's scenario.
Yeah, I think it's totally different for Humboldt and it's totally different for Weyburn. I think it's fine for Humboldt. They sleep, they have the day to sleep, they go off to Melfort, it's down the road, it's fine. The joint is going to be jumping in Melfort, the Broncos boys will get fired up. It'll be fine for Humboldt. For Weyburn, again, you get a day off, you got to travel all the way to Flin, Flon. Not sure whether their bags are going to be packed and they just keep going to Flin Flon or what they plan to do there. But
if you're Cody
it's
Mapes,
really an ideal for Weyburn, but it's either that or go home, and obviously they'd rather go on. So I'd say it's a totally different ball game.
Humboldt will be amped up, but I'm not talking about if they're going to be amped up. They're going to go into those games playing Friday, Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday,
I think it's
Friday.
It's good for Humboldt. Right? It's not good for Weyburn. That's what I'll say.
But Friday, Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday is what they're going to have to play, where Melfort has to play Thursday, Friday with a week off in between. Like that is a lot of different hockey.
Hard.
You know
it's
what
hard.
I mean? Like,
it's hard. But the game model of the series between Humboldt and Weyburn is totally different than the game model it was for Melfort and Estevan. And the Broncos are going to be coming in with this really high pace, really high intensity Game 7 under their belt. And they're going to be able to use that and jump right into a series against Melfort where the Mustangs, it was a good series against Estevan, but not the same level of intensity to me. So I think it's fine for Humboldt.
And thus rages on the rust versus rest debate. We'll never have a winner of that debate. It will always have both.
We'll say it was fine if Humboldt or Weyburn win their series, and it wasn't fine if they did.
That debate will forever go on. And also, just to go back to your point, Nugsy, if I'm Cody Mapes, burn the boats, pack and go for game 1. Pack the bags, boys. Get ready.
They're not even going to go home, you think?
No, that's what Nugsy was saying.
Will
they just go straight
for Flin Flon?
Will they just go straight to Flin Flon?
Back down to Weyburn, back up to Flin Flon?
I say burn the boats. You're going you're going in with the mindset that we're going to Flin Flon. That's what I'm saying.
I honestly don't know what's more expensive.
I don't know.
I'm not sure. You know what? I'll let Cody Mapes worry about that.
Both expensive.
Cody, you can worry about that part of it. Next one. There is more pressure on Humboldt for Game 7 as the home team has won every game so far. There is more pressure on Humboldt.
Yeah. They're the higher seed right now. They've seen all the high seeds advance. They've seen all the high seeds advance in no more than 5 games. Weyburn's pushed them to the brink. They know that, home ice has won all games. So who's the pressure on?
Right.
The home ice team.
Yep.
They have to keep it the same or else they're home. They're going home. Mm-hmm. Right? So Humboldt has the pressure.
Nugsy, you agree with that?
Yeah, I think Weyburn embraces the underdog role. I think there's been more pressure on Humboldt the whole series.
Sure.
So, Game 7, you continue that more pressure.
Good. Over/under for Game 7. 6.5 goals is what I'm setting it at. So that would be a 4-2-ish game would be under, 4-3 would be over type deal.
Under.
You're going tight and low scoring.
The way they played in Game 6, if these goaltenders play even a hint of that similar, you're going to have a 3-1 win.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I hammer the under too. We were trying to figure out what the line should be.
Yeah, we were going to make it 5.5, and I was like, that's no fun.
Yeah, I'm going to hammer the under though all day too.
Fair enough.
Based on what we saw yesterday, expect the game to be relatively similar. So.
Mm-hmm.
I would say with less high danger scoring. Yesterday was crazy.
Well, but both goalies.
Yeah, for a 2-1 game to have, I don't even know. You'd have to look and tweet it out to have. I would say 10 to 14 high danger scoring chances per side to end in a 2-1 win. It was wild.
I think the reason I wanted to put this over/under at 6.5 is I think 4 of the 6 games so far have been over, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
So that's the only reason I put that as the over/under. So here's the final one, and this one's the fun one, guys, because before the show we were having this debate. How old is Commissioner Kyle McIntyre?
And
happy birthday once again, Kyle. And we said, now Rory doesn't know, and Nugsy had an idea, but he wasn't for sure. I know, so I'm going to say over/under. I'm going to change the number I had earlier. I'm going to say over/under 51.5 years, Kyle McIntyre, 51.5, over/under.
That's what I thought he was.
51?
I thought he was just over the 50 hill, kind of, maybe 50.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So you're going to go under 51.5?
Sure.
Okay, Nugsy?
I'm going to say
I think
he's a gentleman that takes care of himself well.
Yeah.
But he is over that now.
Over. Well,
but not a lot.
I don't know if I'm outing him here, but the correct answer is over. Kyle McIntyre, happy 58th birthday. 58th for Kyle McIntyre. So shout out to Kyle. Again, you don't look a day over 51.5, apparently.
I thought he was like 51.
I said he looks terrible for 35.
Yeah, he looks terrible for 35, exactly. So let's just once again bring up the potential playoff scenarios again. Depending on what happens tomorrow night, this is what we could be looking at for Thursday. Yes, Game 1 will be Thursday, and Game 2 will be Friday. So What will we see? Will we see a rematch of the Moose Leg game, the series, which I love the fact that got brought up today.
Is that more of the Moose Leg than Estevan and Flin now, given that Alec Valentino picked up the Moose Leg between since
There
then?
was a couple instances, but either way.
It's always those Southern Viterra teams that are going up north and
Picking up
stealing the Moose Leg.
Yeah, the Moose Leg, I'm telling you. So could we see that again? Weyburn could play Flin if they win. Battlefords will play Melfort, or if Humboldt wins, Humboldt will play Melfort. In the Saskatchewan Derby, in the two-horse race, in the however you want to call it, and the rematch of last year's final, Battlefords versus Flin. Guys, I don't know if I can ask you, do you have a preference? But I mean, these are both, either way, we're going to see some good
preference. He works for the Humboldt Broncos.
Yeah, Rory, you're disqualified.
He's a human being.
All right, sure.
No, but I mean, I won't ask you.
He can answer as a
I won't ask you,
person.
do you have a preference? But
joking.
I'm going to say either way, it's pretty awesome,
How about
yes?
this? I like new and interesting things.
Mm-hmm.
If it's option on the right, you're guaranteed to have a new final.
Right.
The rematch of the finals would happen in the semis.
Yeah.
So the Cantera Seeds Cup championship round would be something new.
Something new.
Which is, we'll go with that. But that's not the only reason.
It's fairly diplomatic. That's fairly diplomatic. Yeah, no, that's good. Nugsy, you have not a preference, but like both scenarios offer some really interesting storylines.
Yeah. I mean, you throw in the fact that in 18-19, Blevs and Braden went up each other in the finals as well. And one thing I know about Trevor Blevins is that his memory is very, very, very long.
Mm-hmm.
And any kind of beating that he gets or whatever, he remembers and hangs on like this. And I don't mean that as a negative thing.
No, it's a good thing.
It's just his motivation, right? So. And Braden and the Stars swept him, right? So I think that'll be relatively fresh. I know it was like 6 years ago, but it's in his mind. So that'll be interesting if it's a Battlefords Melfort series. And anybody who takes Weyburn for granted has proven this first round. I'm not saying Humboldt did, but if you take them for granted, you're in trouble. Especially at the CPP, they're tough.
Yeah.
I mean, so I'll just say like. It'll be fun.
It'll be fun. It'll be fun both ways. Now, I'm going to give you guys each a team for Game 7. Rory, I'm going to give you Humboldt. Surprise, but that's okay. And Nugsy, I'm going to give you Weyburn.
Oh, I like that.
One thing that'll give these guys the edge going into Game 7.
Oh.
Rory, maybe I'll start with you just because you have a little bit more skin in the game here. But one thing that's going to give Humboldt the edge, or maybe like something that if this happens, Humboldt will win.
Oh.
That's kind of what I'm going for.
The captain's coming back. They're they're emotional, dressing room leader, veteran. No one's played more Humboldt Bronco games than he has. He's coming back for Game 7. So
that's a big one.
I think that's huge.
Yeah. So Cage Newens, Nugsy.
Yeah, he's small.
For Weyburn, what's the one thing that will help them win this game?
Yeah, I mean, if it's like yesterday and it's end to end and there's chances galore, I think they have the weapons. So it depends on the game model. If it's ground and pound, then Humboldt has the advantage, and if it's kind of end to end and free flowing and run and gun, then Weyburn has a chance, and Daza can win it by himself. I mean, that's just the bottom line. He's that good. He's that type of goalie, and as you were saying, Rory, he's gotten better every game in the series. So it stands reasonable to assume that maybe his best game, if that's his trajectory, that Game 7 will be
tomorrow.
his best. So Dez and Mitchell will be the number one reason if the Weyburn Red Wings win tomorrow.
There you go.
You would have to beat a .968 save percentage, which would be an incredible performance.
Yeah.
A shutout, or maybe stopping 39 of 40.
Yeah.
It's over 968.
But maybe Barnes could call up.
Yeah.
Maybe Barnes could call up Mike Regan, and Mike can bless the boards like he did in Game 7 at the Whitney last year.
Oh boy.
EPA doesn't have that pop. The boards are not as.
But whatever Mike does to the boards, maybe he just rubs something on the board. I don't know what Mike does.
Yeah, Mike Reagan walks around. He walks around the boards and just taps them all like Patrick Waugh used to tap his goalpost back in the day, and just says, "Come on, help us out here, guys." No,
not as much bounce off the boards in the.
Regardless of what happens, tomorrow night is going to be an electric atmosphere at the EPA. So make sure if you're anywhere in I'm going to say within 200-kilometer radius of Humboldt, that you get your tickets and you get to that rink. And you know what? Now, I got in trouble for this once, so I'm going to knock on wood here. But the weather's supposed to be nice. The roads are probably supposed to be pretty good.
We did blame the bad weather on you.
It's supposed to be like plus 20.
So yeah, it's getting pretty warm out there. So I'm going to say the roads are good. So you have no excuse if you're out of town in Humboldt and around the area to not be there outside if it's a sellout. If it's a sellout and you can't get a ticket, that's understandable.
We'll find a way.
But get to the rink. Get to the rink. And if you can't get to the rink, if you're outside that radius,
we'll sneak you in.
We'll get you in.
Make sure you pay for your ticket.
Fire marshals be damned. They'll get you in. They will get you in. No, I shouldn't say that. But if you can't get to the rink, make sure you get your Flow Hockey subscription and check it out there. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, of course. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can check out all the highlights afterwards. Of course, we're going to have our pre- and post-game reports from Jacob Faith, as we have for Ken Alta Hotels, all playoffs long so far. He'll be there, and that should be a lot of fun. And both you guys are going to be in the building. Nugsy, are you going? Not sure yet? Not sure
I'll
yet.
be watching for sure.
But Rory, you'll be there, so make sure you guys get to the rink. It's going to be a lot of fun. And one more big thank you to our sponsors as we before we head out of the building here today. Of course, UPL Canada, as you can see behind me, sponsor everything. I'm just going to say it. They sponsor everything. Bourgault, Cantera Seeds, Capital Automall, Chevrolet, Great Western Nutrient, RBC, Saskatchewan Construction, Safety Association. That one gets me every time because it's a longer breath, and I'm out of breath by that point. Sask Lotteries, Tourism Saskatchewan, Sask Energy, SGEU, and SGI. That one got me too. But later this week, of course, as we mentioned, regardless of what happens tomorrow, Game 1 will be Thursday, Game 2 will be Friday of Round 2, and we're going to preview all of it on Thursday, me and Nugsy on SJHL Insider. Special guest TBD, to be determined. But that's ahead. As of right now, we're all focusing on Game 7, and it's going to be a great night in Humboldt. So get out to the rinks, watch on Flow Hockey, and until next time, for everybody here at IKS, for Rory McGouran, for Jamie Neugebauer, I'm Clark Munroe, and we'll talk to you again soon. Thanks for stopping by, SJHL fans.